Good morning, Waldorf Essentials world. Thank you for waiting on me. I'm Kimberly Parsons, and I am in Texas. And Waldorf Essentials, of course, is not based in Texas. So this morning we had a little glitch about what time I was supposed to start. So good morning. This is me with no makeup on and my hair in a ponytail, and I'm just kind of laughing in my living room. I couldn't even be in the regular room where I usually do videos. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for waiting, and I'm super glad to be here this morning and talk to you about our new music curriculum. We're waiting for some folks to join us, and that's great. But first I wanted to tell you a little bit about me. I do use Waldorf Essentials, of course, and I'm a regional leader in the Arklatex here. That's in the upper east corner of Texas. And I have two kids, an 8.5-year-old and an almost 5-year-old, and we've been homeschooling now for, I guess we're going on almost 3 years. So I didn't start out with Waldorf. This was something that was new to our family, and it was just honestly a game changer and a lifesaver. I'm just so grateful for all of the things that I've gotten from Melissa and from Waldorf Essentials, and I was thrilled to death when she asked me to help her work on this curriculum. I'm a music educator. I have 2 degrees in music from Baylor University, and I taught in the classroom for a number of years, and I still teach music circles and private lessons, and I work with our co-op folks bringing music to their children. So I was so excited to work on this project with her. So today I'm going to talk to you about our curriculum, some things that you, if you're considering using it, some things that might help you make that decision. And if you're already working with it, we're going to address some of the things that are coming up as common questions. And if I can make sure that my technology is working, I'm going to try and take some live questions. But if that doesn't work, you can always comment on this thread, and I will answer to the best of my ability. So first I wanted to talk about how this music curriculum is different. There are a lot of songbooks out there in Waldorf land, beautiful work, just full of amazing songs. But this curriculum is different. It is actually a curriculum. It's not just a songbook for you to look through and pick out some songs that you like. This curriculum is designed to help you bring music to your child in a holistic way, to help them sing, to play the pentatonic flute and later the diatonic flute or recorder, and to bring them into the world of reading music notation. And our goal all along was to be as true as we possibly could to Steiner's ideals and his recommendations for music learning for children. So in our book we've provided we've provided songs as a songbook does, but we have laid it out so that it is in line with what your child should be doing at each developmental stage. So for example, Steiner wanted first graders, children around 7, to still be singing some Mood of the Fifth songs, and we talk about in the book what that is in plain English for the non-musical parent, but also then moving into truly pentatonic songs in 2nd grade, working more with pentatonic and going on to diatonic, which is the full scale that we're familiar with in Western music anyway. And then in 3rd grade, that the child would start to learn to read music. So our curriculum, all of the songs in it, this is not just a songbook. Every song has been excruciatingly chosen so that it is in line with that pattern of what kind of song the child is supposed to be working with. And it's not just melodic, it's also, we looked at what Steiner wanted for rhythm, we looked at what Steiner wanted for any harmonic work, we looked at, of course, the themes that the lyrics carry, and so every song in this book, you can be confident that it is one that fits for that developmental age. Some of them are folk songs, and some of them are newly composed for the purposes we needed for this book. But that is one way that it's different. If you are in the 1st grade year, you can be sure that every song in that 1st grade year is just what your child needs to be using. The other thing you need to know is that they're laid out sequentially, not just for those grade levels, but also they're laid out for what your kid should be doing on the flute, and in a way that makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of parents are not musicians. I'm very blessed that that's something that I was able to develop and grow grow in and have the opportunities, but not everybody does. And so this curriculum is lined out so that your child and you as the parent are not being asked to play 6 notes on the flute in lesson 3. That is very challenging for most parents to pull that off. So this curriculum is lined out so that you are working with just a few notes at a time. It's how I teach my children. My children aren't any more special than anybody else's children in that respect. I'm giving you exactly what I do with my kids so that you are able to feel really confident. Isn't that what Melissa does for all of us? She just really wants us as parents to be confident and to have all the information, to have the skills that we need, and then to really step out in confidence. So this music curriculum is designed to help you with that as well. So it's lined out, the songs are chosen for the grade level, and they're sequenced for you to be able to teach in a way that makes sense so that you're building on prior skills and prior things that they have absorbed. The other thing that this music curriculum does is it does not jump in with music reading for your child. Steiner did not want children doing that heady work until they were at least 9, maybe even 10 years old, working on reading the notes from the printed page. So this is where my background as a music educator, when I was reading about Steiner's views on music, it just clicked for me that, oh, I can totally do this, because that's what I did in my music practice in the schools. We teach, as in this book, we teach a bank of songs through singing, and the children are singing, they're moving, they're experiencing the music, but we don't give a little child a written page and start talking about clef signs and key signatures and rhythm values and, oh, this note is called G. We don't do that with a little child, and Steiner doesn't want that for us either. And so really the first 2 years you're going to be singing and playing the flute with your child and just really enjoying and feeling that music and helping them develop their musicianship. There's so much more to being a musician than being able to read the notes on the page. I can't tell you just as a musician, you can hear a difference. And that is when you go to a concert and something really moves you. Yes, that musician has some skill. They've probably received some kind of training, but what is moving you, what is drawing you into their performance, it's not because they're reading notes on the page, it's because there's something happening in their emotions, in their spirit, that is reaching out and touching you. So we want your child to experience that. We want your child to develop that. That's already innate. Your child already has that, and so we want you to be able to bring that to your child and develop that before we bring the heady work of this is a treble clef and this is a G. And if you will follow this curriculum, you will have all that you need to do that, because in 1st and 2nd grade you're building a song bank, and that even continues in 3rd grade, because there are some songs that are not songs that you want to bring to your child even for singing according to Steiner until a little bit later. And so we continue building that bank of songs. That's what you're doing those first 2 years. And then in 3rd grade, you're able to bring those songs back and say, hey, let's play this song again. And you know what? This is what it looks like on paper. And here's what we're doing. And the child can go, oh, I get it. It's just like we teach reading. They know how to speak. They know how to make the sounds. And after they're really confident with those sounds and with the spoken word in English, they already know mountain. And so we do that Grimm's fairy tale about the Mount Samali, or however people say it. And then we show them the symbol. And so we're going from something they have experienced then into something that they can see and think about it in a more heady way. So that is why this curriculum is not a songbook. This is not, oh, I'll flip through and find a song here and find a song there. It doesn't work like that. Yes, within the grade and with the season, you have some choices to make, but I really want to encourage people that if they're going to use this curriculum, please use the curriculum. Of course, supplement with other songs for singing. We didn't put a lot of festival songs in there because there are books and books and books and books for festival songs. The book does have some of those, but if you're going to use this curriculum, know that it's not just a songbook. And if you want the full benefit of it, and if you want to have the full banquet of songs to use in 3rd grade to teach your child notation, you're going to want to use this in order. So all of these songs were chosen intentionally. They're sequenced intentionally. And I just want to tell that mother out there, because I hear this all the time. I get private messages. We get messages in the groups for the mother that just can't believe that this will work for her because she herself does not read music, or is not quote unquote musical. And let's just pause and unpack that for a minute. I wish that I had $10 for every adult that has taught to me in life, not just in Waldorf land, and has told me that they're not musical. And I always pause for a moment and I ask them, who told you that? And it always ends up being that somebody did indeed tell them that. Somebody told them they couldn't sing. Somebody told them they couldn't carry a tune. Their teacher somewhere said, oh gosh, that's a terrible sound, stop making it. And I would like the $10, and then in my lower moments, I would like to go find that person and give them a piece of my mind, because I believe that every person is musical. Steiner believed that, and if you watch a group of children that haven't absorbed any of those negative messages yet, you'll see that it's true. We are innately musical beings, and so for the mama who's thinking, I cannot do this, yes, you can, and this curriculum will help you do that. We have all the songs are recorded online for you to use, which brings me to one of the things that people are asking us. The recordings are an instrumental recording, and that was an intentional choice. We in Waldorf land do not want our children, listening to the story or listening to the song to learn it. There's something magical that happens when we are the ones singing and we are the ones doing. And the thought was, in part, that if I were to record myself singing the songs, that there would be those who would choose to just, download this to their phone and play them for their child instead of their little ones learning it. And it's hard. It's hard, especially if, and I'm sorry, my cat is in the background. That's life. She's fine, I promise. It sounds like she's dying. She's not. She's been fed and cared for. But Mama, you can do it. And you're just going to have to take some deep breaths and listen. And I see you, Nicole, and I know, and it's so hard. But if you will sit down, and what I shared with those mothers that have asked that is, if you'll sit down with the printed page right in front of you, and you'll put that thing on repeat, and you'll follow along with your, yes, meow, if you'll follow along with your finger and listen and start trying to sing that song, it will come. And that's part of the process. That's part of what we're trying to bring you. I don't think it's too goofy to say that we're also trying to maybe heal some of those wounds from times in the past when someone has told you that you are not musical, because I believe you are. And it's not being, I'm not being mean or not wanting to be helpful by not singing those songs for you. That's part of you realizing, oh my gosh, I can totally do this. And I promise that with time, it will come. It will come. So please do give yourself that opportunity to do that process. I also want to talk a little bit about, and I'm sorry you're seeing the top of my head, at least my hair is mostly clean. I want to talk with you about instruments. We get a lot of questions about instruments, and at some point I'll probably do a video just about choosing your instruments. So the first thing I want to address is, should you get a flute or a recorder? I think it really boils down to personal preference and cost. The Corey flutes that are used in the schools and by a lot of homeschoolers are for many people who are usually homeschoolers, are living on one income, and they're just out of the price range. Now, one of the benefits of those is that the way the breath flows. I have the full complement of implements or instruments, and it really is very much like an out breath when you play that. It's more like I'm going to make a weird noise, and I'm sorry, but when you breathe out, it's kind of a to play the flute, which is very much like that out breath. So if you can swing the Corey pentatonic for your little one, and then later move to the Corey diatonic, then that's great. However, for those of you who are on a budget, we did find some great recommendations for alternatives. They are recorders, which is a different thing altogether. The breath is more of it's more of a directed breath, so it's less like a true out breath, and it's a directed breath. But we found some great alternatives. There's one that's a Honer Pearwood that's available on Amazon for around $30, and that's a great option. You could also look into the Kunath Combi recorder or Star recorder, and that's the one that I'm in love with. That one, I gotta tell you. What I love about it is the tone, the feel. It's a beautiful wooden flute, or recorder rather. But what I love about it is that it comes in 3 parts, and you can order the parts singly or all together. But there's the mouthpiece, and then if you're starting with the younger child, you can buy the pentatonic body, and it fits together in 2 pieces. But then when your child is ready to move on, then you can buy the other part separately and stick that on their mouthpiece, and perhaps pass the pentatonic part down to the younger sibling. So that's a really great option too. I would recommend that you get either the flute or the recorder in wood. The reason is it's very warm in the hands. It warms to the breath. It feels good in the hands. It feels good in the mouth. It's very smooth, and the tone is so warm. It's so pleasing and so inviting, and so when the child is playing, they have that warm experience. I know a lot of people have purchased or are interested in using the Pennywhistle, and we are choosing that we really want to recommend those wooden instruments. The Pennywhistle has a more it's made of metal, so it's going to have a more metallic sound to it. It sounds in a different register, and even with the ones that come with the wooden fipple, which I have, it doesn't feel as smooth in the hands or smooth in the mouth. It's just not as warm of an instrument. So we're recommending that you use a wooden instrument of some kind, if at all possible. So at some point we can, perhaps do a whole video on that. I personally like the combi recorder, and then for the Corey flutes, I have those that are tuned to 440 hertz. You can get them at 432 hertz, and there's a lot of talk in music circles worldwide, not just in Waldorf land, about which tuning is preferable. And if you really want to fall down a rabbit hole on the internet, go Google 432 hertz versus 440 hertz. I chose 440 because we, as a family, do a lot of things in groups, and I fully anticipate that my children are going to want to play in public or play with other instruments, and so I wanted them to be tuned as the other instruments are tuned with us. So that was my choice. You'll also see on the Corey, you can get the Corey fingering or the standard fingering, or sometimes it's called the German fingering. I have the standard. I didn't want that little extra hole. So if you are looking at used instruments and you want to know, you'll want to ask about the tuning, you'll want to count the holes on the front of it. A lot of times people don't even know what they have, and the ones that I have 7 holes on the front instead of 8. That's how you tell. So at some point we'll put up I need to make a little explainer about how I know what I have and is this what I need, because it is an investment when you're purchasing these instruments, and it especially if you need to purchase at least 2, one for you and one for your child. And I know that you want to make sure that you have what you're supposed to have. Checking my list again. Here's the top of my head. Please admire it. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've covered all the things that I've been asked to talk about. I'm going to flip over to my laptop over here and see if I can get on and see if there are any questions popping up. So I'll do my best to answer them. I'm getting rid of a bunch of messages on here today. All these lovely messages, but I don't want to look at them right now. Let's see. I'm trying to get over to this thread. I can see on here too. So if you have a question, I can see it. It's coming up on my phone as well. And if you don't, that's okay too. I won't have my feelings hurt. Life is too short to get upset about things like that. Let's see. Yes, I'm seeing my friend Magda about the nicer tone with the wood. It really does have such a beautiful tone. And, we played on plastic recorders for a while because that's what we had. That's what we were able to do. And, I always think about Steiner talking about modeling materials. When this topic comes up, he had said that, let the children use mud. If that's what you have, then let them use mud. It's about the experience, the process, the sensory experience, the connecting with that element. So if what you have right now are plastic recorders, then that's what you have. Please don't keep music from your children because you don't have the perfect instrument. But do consider putting those on a wish list, maybe with grandparents, or saving up, or just stock those Waldorf trade boards and see. Okay, let's see. Is there an intro story for when the child receives the flute, or is that the story with Flying Kite with Papa? I'm going to let Melissa answer that if she wants to pop in real quick. I know that we talked about presenting the flute, and some families really like to spend a lot of time on a story about the flute. But Melissa did all the stories and the crafts and the recipes and all of that stuff for this. So I'm going to let her pop in and talk to you about that if she would like to. Nicole, I would suggest too, if you wanted to add a story, because I don't believe there is. Can I just be totally honest with you this morning while we're waiting to see? I messed up the times, and so Melissa messaged me about 2 minutes before I was supposed to go on, and honestly, I was toasting dragon bread and had eye makeup smudge under my eyes. So I had to scramble and get my outline and I had it, but get it all together and set up my stuff and get my husband to corral the kids. And so I'm just a little frazzled this morning. But I've also seen, as far as a story, I've seen people tell stories about pipers. There are some lovely Native American stories about the origins of the flute. And thank you, Melissa, you're the best. This word, she's like, breathe, it will be okay. And I told her I was fine. I was really actually just kind of laughing. There's nothing like realizing you're supposed to be on a live video 2 minutes before you're supposed to go on to keep you humble. So I'm fine. Oh, thank you, Nicole. You're really very kind. But I think there are a lot of ways that you can introduce that flute, is there any other question out there while we're waiting? Bless her heart, Melissa's scrambling to look. We spent so much time on this curriculum just getting it all lined out and all the things put in, and I was a pill and did things like suggesting ridiculous recipes that no one would ever want to eat, when we had a whole, because that's just how I am. I like to be ridiculous on purpose. So anyway, we'll just wait a second. And I'd love to hear for those of you who are already using it, if you've what your experience has been with the curriculum, if you want to share a little bit. And my dryer is buzzing, so we're just getting real here. Oh, I was never a pill. Oh, I don't know. That sanguine in me just likes to be a little bit silly, and sometimes that's hard to take. So we'll just give it another couple minutes here. Oh, yes, I wasn't going to say it out loud, but yes, I did. I live in the piney woods, and so, we joke about eating possum and things. We don't eat possum. Well, maybe some people do. I don't know, but we generally shy away from eating rodents in our family. Anyway, I suggested a squirrel recipe. I just put it in there, and I didn't tell her it was a joke. I just wrote out this recipe like it was the real deal, and she took it out. I was deeply wounded. All right. So, I think Melissa is still trying to look. I don't think we actually put a story in there for you to present your flute to your child. So, maybe that's something we'll do when we get around to revising. So I'm gonna wind up. I can still see if someone has any questions on here. But I wanted to also invite you to like my Music Unfolds group here on Facebook. Just search Music Unfolds and you can join that, because it will be linked to the Waldorf Essentials page, but I may be doing some other things on there just to share about the book or answer questions that come up. And I also have a product page, but the group is where I'll be doing a lot of the interacting. And you can buy this curriculum on the Waldorf Essentials site, of course. It's part of the Thinking, Feeling, Willing program. program. So if you buy that membership that comes with all of the mom lessons that she is constantly adding to, and curriculum and all those goodies, then this is part of that. There's my cat again. This is part of that package, and it is well worth it. If you have just been dabbling your toes in Waldorf homeschooling, then you know there's kind of a learning curve, and you will benefit from that program. But you can also buy it singly if you want to. We're releasing it by season, and the next season will be out at the end of October. Okay, I'm seeing it coming from a background with very little music. I have no idea how to teach it. I don't know where to begin. The front matter. Look, read the beginning parts of it even before the curriculum starts, because in there I've told you how to go about learning the songs, and I've told you about how to start presenting them. Really, you're just singing with your child. So if I'm going to teach one of those songs, I just sing it in circle time, honestly. And we did Small Leaf, for example. So I taught Small Leaf by singing it. My children would imitate me, and once they were singing and doing the hand motions with me really well, then I moved to the flute with my son. But if you'll look through that front matter, I've told you how to go about bringing those songs. You got to get online and learn the tune yourself and be confident with it, singing wise, and then you can bring it to your kids singing. And it really will. There was a comment above, somebody was saying they really appreciated the tune songs and that it really helped them bring it. And if you will look in there, we've given you the tools that you need to bring that to your kiddos, and the recordings are online. I also wanted to well, do I have anything else on my list? I'm looking down at my list, and I think that pretty much covers it. So if there are no more questions for now, then I think I will go ahead and sign off. I really appreciate you guys being here this morning, and good senses of humor, and my cat who's singing along. And I appreciate all of you and the good feedback that we're getting. You can always reach Melissa or those of us on here through the Waldorf Essentials Facebook site. We try to be really responsive to those messages. And Melissa's commenting that, you know, she was wounded by a music teacher as a child, and she can do it. So anyone can. And that's true. That's absolutely true. I'm available for consults online if you want to get in touch with Waldorf Essentials about that, if you're really, really struggling. But just want to leave you with this one thought, that you absolutely can do this. You can do this. I've worked with adult beginners. I've worked with students who have been wounded by teachers and told they couldn't sing. And my favorite story of all, I had this young man, and he had to get his fine arts credit in Texas, and his best option for his personality, etc., was to be in the choir. And he was at a large school that had a really rigorous audition process, and he couldn't get in. And I worked with him for a long time because he was having trouble just matching pitch. And this child was so determined and so hardworking, and we worked through a lot of the feelings about that, and just continue to work in a process very much like this one, where we started out with just 1 or 2 notes at a time. And I'll tell you, that boy not only made his school choir, but he made the Texas All-State Choir a couple of years later, and I get emotional just thinking about it. So I hope that you will trust the process, and I hope that you will trust that you are musical and that you can bring music to your children. So thank you for being here this morning, and be in touch with any questions that you have. We appreciate you and hope you have a great day. Thanks.